It's a place where for decades, young Bostonians have come to compete. But White Stadium is in need of repair. The signs of decay are obvious. A $100 million renovation is on the table so the facility can house a pro women's soccer team. But that proposal has proven divisive.
The whole world is going to look at a soccer game and see that it's in Roxbury, Massachusetts.
It's a park. It's not somewhere where people can make millions upon millions of dollars and forget about the community.
Supporters say it's a generational opportunity to revitalize the facility while also creating jobs and stimulating growth in Dorchester and surrounding neighborhoods. But opponents are suspicious of the plan and the traffic that would come with it. They argue the process has been rushed and fear what the changes would mean for surrounding neighborhoods. So they filed a lawsuit to stop it. The fight traces back to the spring of 2023, when Mayor Michelle Wu issued a request for proposals for a public-private partnership to reimagine White Stadium for much-needed investment. Plans to fix the stadium have been proposed and then faded. One group that responded to the mayor's call is led by 4 female investors. They propose transforming the stadium to a state-of-the-art facility that could host an expansion team in the National Women's Soccer League starting in 2026. Their plan would include a new playing field, rebuilt stands, and facilities that would be befitting of a major sports team.
We're here to do something transformational for our city.
Jennifer Epstein is controlling partner of Boston Unity Soccer Partners. They've added more investors, including Linda Pizzuti Henry, CEO of Boston Globe Media and wife of Red Sox owner John Henry, as well as Boston Celtics basketball operations president Brad Stevens. All folks familiar with the sports fans here.
We want to create experience that is comparable to what Boston sports fans are used to, right? What we also want to do is we want it to be a really inclusive experience. Not everyone in our city has always felt included and always felt that they have, access to some of our teams, and this is an opportunity with women's sports and with this stadium here, the accessibility and the price point, it's really an opportunity to make this a team for Boston.
Boston Unity would spend some $50 million to renovate the West Grandstands and upgrade the facilities to meet the needs of pro athletes. The team would also pay for an annual upkeep of the field itself. The city of Boston would chip in $50 million to rebuild the East Grandstand with new student amenities. A new 8-lane running track will, at least in theory, turn Boston into a major host for track and field events. But opponents have said this is a private takeover of the stadium, which right now is operated and used by the Boston Public Schools. But Epstein and the mayor disagree.
There is no transfer of ownership. We are a tenant. We will sign a lease with the city.
The plan calls for the soccer team to use White Stadium 20 to 25 days a year between March and October, or about 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time would be devoted to BPS sporting events, and the track around the field would be rebuilt, which is ideal for youngsters, supporters say. However, football players from Boston Latin Academy and Boston Latin School who use White Stadium as their home fields wouldn't be able to use the field until November, after the women's soccer season ends. There are also plans to make changes to the Grove, the open space area at the south end of the stadium as well.
This plan isn't the renovation we want and or need.
Renee Stacy Welsh grew up steps away from the park, and she still lives in walking distance to it and comes here with her dog often. She has been an outspoken member of Franklin Park Defenders. She says she's not opposed to upgrading the stadium and spending city money to do it, but she's not down with the soccer team.
So 5,000 people are going to come park here for 20 weekends a month or 22 weekends a year on the most beautiful days. What about us? The one place that we have to go run, exercise, take a breath, get some reprieve is our park. And now you make it loud, you make it overcrowded.
Overcrowding and traffic in the neighborhoods is a chief concern. The city believes it can minimize game day traffic by using satellite parking lots and having shuttles carry fans from nearby MBTA stations. They say new resident parking restrictions would keep spectators from driving and parking on nearby residential streets. Welsh is skeptical.
It doesn't stop people from parking, not just parking here. We have to stop thinking here. We have to think here. I can see people parking on streets in Dorchester and getting on a bus and a train to get here. What about them?
The renovation plan is also opposed by the Emerald Necklace Conservancy, the nonprofit group that serves as steward to the 1,100 acres of parks designed by Frederick Law Olmsted that extend from the Back Bay to Franklin Park. The White Stadium plan led the group to file its first ever lawsuit.
This is really more than just about Franklin Park. It's about the entire Emerald Necklace. It's also about preserving public land.
Back in March, a judge denied a request for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction against the project.
The language in the decision from the judge in response to the preliminary order was very clear that she not only addressed projecting the need for halting the project in the immediate, but also went through the various legal claims that were brought up and said that each of these would be unlikely to succeed on the merits in the larger lawsuit.
White Stadium has a lengthy history. It first hosted games back in 1949. But in many ways, it's showing its age. Rusted out benches, track surfaces that need an upgrade, and a heaping pile of debris and waste under the East Grandstand. So a fix-up appears to be the one thing everyone can agree on.
I think it's derelict, right? It's crumbling. It's not a safe space for youth to go to.
It needs to be renovated, absolutely.
I'm tired of hearing how our talented students are breaking records on this track that don't count because the facilities don't meet state standards, and so those numbers can't actually be recorded.
BPS workers showed us the debris under the East Grandstand, which the city would rebuild as part of the private-public partnership. This debris has been there since a fire decades ago. Think of that. This area has looked like this for decades, in a facility that Boston has been using for decades.
When you get into the reality of the situation, we're in a facility that's in major need of an upgrade.
Avery Esdale is the Senior Director of Athletics of Boston Public Schools. His office is actually inside White Stadium, so this decay is in front of him daily.
You want your amenities to be proper. You want your amenities to be sufficient for what you're looking to deliver. And so having this in this current state, it kind of ties one of our arms right behind our back.
The mayor and investors call this a generational opportunity for the area. The $50 million from the city would be the largest public investment in Franklin Park in 50 years.
So let's talk about that $50 million. What can that $50 million do here? The $50 million that of our tax-paying money, that's our money. So that money should be used to renovate this for our kids, not for rich people to continue to get rich off of the backs of black and brown communities.
The Wu administration claims the renovation would generate 500 jobs and more than 300 new permanent jobs at all economic levels. The team says it's committed to a 50% women and minority-owned business threshold in contracting and hiring, with preference given to local contractors, vendors, and employees.
It might have been easier had we looked to do this outside the city, but this opportunity, this very unique model that we are presenting in professional sports, it's an opportunity for our team to have impact well beyond our 20 game days. We are ready to build this team within the fabric of our city and grow our fan base and have our team reflect the global city that makes up Boston.